have been missing. Or even if it's just that you don't get an opportunity and then you do. So something that you pull away from and come back to. It doesn't have to be your yoga practice, but something that when it's gone temporarily or permanently, you have a profound recognition of its value. So whatever that is, let's see if we can just start our practice in a state of gratitude. So as you find a comfortable seat and you drop down into your sit bones, close your eyes and kind of turn inward. Let's just take a moment to conjure up whatever it is that you're thinking of that you're grateful for. Recognize what this something is for you. Why is it important to you? How does it serve your well being? And can we use the gratitude that we cultivate for something that is lost or a temporary loss that we now appreciate? Can we bring this appreciation into what is here? So the beauty of the day, something as simple as this gorgeous spring day. Can we remember to savor? Can we remember to have appreciations and let those appreciations expand us? Can we let our appreciations bring us into present moment awareness? And can we let the appreciations filter through us, kind of like water or wave or wind, where we're not attaching and grabbing and saying, I must have this and I'm going to keep this, but rather just this freedom of being able to be in presence of whatever this is without control or expectation. Yourself to drop down into the body now. Feel your way into your breathing. Maybe that's what you're appreciating. The more we recognize and live in gratitude throughout our day, really the more joy and peace we bring to ourselves and others. So, appreciating the breath now, appreciating the stillness of the mind and body, appreciating the time to come home to yourself. Ready, place your hands together at your heart. And let's bow to this gratitude, offering an intention for your practice. Releasing your hands. Okay, we're going to start with a little alternate nostril breathing. I know a fair number of people are having some allergies right now, so let's see if we can kind of clear our sinuses a little bit. So, all of you have done this with me before. Traditionally, you take your thumb and your ring finger and place them on the sides of your nose. And remember, we're trying to be kind of high, not right at the bottom tip of our nostril, but at the start, the top of our nostril, very gently, just enough to close off the pathway of breath, not enough to, press hard on the septum of your nose or move your head or, have any pressure. All right, so notice your spine. See if you can keep the upright nature of the spine. We're not turning. We can let our shoulder relax and be softened instead of hiking it up toward our ear. Let's start with the left, breathing in through the left as you gently close off the right. And closing off the right, or sorry, closing off the left, breathing out through the right. So always alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shoshana. You breathe out and you breathe in through the same nostril, and then you switch to the other side. You breathe out and you breathe in, and then you switch. So it's just alternating which nostril you're breathing from so that you're kind of playing with that left and right hemispheres of the brain. When you have a little extra pressure on one side, it can be very good for kind of opening up the passageways, strengthening the channels for your breath. Remember to stay soft and gentle in your neck, your shoulders, your face. You can have your head bow just a bit if you'd like. You can have your sternum rise up, kind of that Jalandhara Bandha, just ever so slight. If it's more comfortable for you to have your head neutral instead of down, that's fine too. Whatever's going to be available for you, just like our yoga practices or any of our asana practices, we can have this kind of template, like try this shape, but then everybody's different on every single day. So morph the shape a little bit to just be perfect for this moment. But remember to stay with the principles, if not the perfect alignment. Stay with the principles of finding space and freedom and relaxation, and letting your shoulder relax, having a place where the brain can soften into this posture. Hopefully, your breath is naturally slowing itself down. You'll most likely meet up with having one side be a little closed off versus the other side being a little bit more open. This is natural. We change dominance of our nostril breathing throughout the day. We kind of vacillate, have a little bit of time on this side, and then our body moves to the other side. And this has to do with the dominance of the hemispheres of our brain. Whenever you are ready to complete this practice, and you might not be ready. You might be like, oh, I love this, I'm going to just keep doing this for a while. Then stay right here and keep doing this if you feel like it's very nurturing for you at the moment. But if you are ready, let's remember to complete the cycle as we began. So we're going to finish by breathing out through the left nostril. And whenever that happens, you can just put your hand down and appreciate just this simple thing. We just taught, had a little bit of loss of strength of one side of our nostril at a time. Let's now have an appreciation for the ease of breathing through both sides simultaneously. What a gift to have open chambers for breath. See if you can savor that sensation without gripping or guarding. Nothing to hold on to, only to appreciate presence. When you feel ready, let's go ahead and find ourselves coming onto our back. My cat is being very vocal right now, so I don't know if you guys could hear her in the other parts of my house, but now she's right here, so don't mind some cat meows. I don't know what she's chasing. Sometimes I think she sees ghosts in my house. All right, so let's stretch out on our ground and reach into some good length. All right, so Stretching the right side, stretching the left side, and just enjoying the whole practice today. Let your focus and your attention be about enjoying your body, enjoying the way your body moves, sensations that you have, the presence of mind within your body. Every time you feel something good, not only savor and appreciate, but offer a kindness to your body. So much of the time, we can have negativity arising in our self talk or self thought. So use an opportunity when you feel something really nice to give gratitudes and appreciations to the body. All right, knees in. Let's rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. And then let's circle the knees, kind of rolling in one direction. Feeling how this feels across your sacrum. Rolling the other direction and feeling how that feels across your sacrum. And as always, you get to do your practice exactly how you want. Maybe you don't like to start on your back and you have a whole different warm up that you've developed for yourself, and that's awesome. All right, so right knee into your chest. Let's move around in your ankles. Okay, saying hello and appreciating your feet. Let your head get heavy and relaxed. Feel your shoulders soften on the ground. And then let's switch sides. Bring the left knee into the chest, right leg long on the ground. And let's roll around in your ankles continuously, feeling that mobility in your feet, warming up a lot of these joints. Especially, maybe you haven't gone for a walk yet today. Maybe there's not been a whole lot of movement in your day yet. Maybe you've already, done a whole lot of movement in your day. So whatever it is, just notice and appreciate. All right, stretch your limbs to a big wide open space. Reach into your fingers and your toes. While we're out here, let's have a moment to open and close your fists. And you can do it kind of rapidly or slowly, whatever feels good. And let's roll around in your wrists now as well. And then when you're ready, bring your knees in. Pick up your head this time and give yourself a snug little hug. Let's open up to a giant star again. Big wide space in your body. Exhale, draw in. Put your head down, put your feet down, put your arms down. Feet are hip width apart, and let's rock left and right. Just a little bit of windshield wipering, letting your back open up, your hips open up a little bit. Breathing deep. Okay. And as your knees go left, turn your head right. And as your knees go right, turn your head left. See if you can let that fullness of a gentle twist live within the spine. And then roll to your left side. Bring your palms together, knees together. And let's open to a bigger chest where we open up our heart. So stretch open. And then exhale and bring your hands back together. One more time. We're going to stay here. Stretch open into a twist, hand down onto the ground. Let your head turn to the right. And maybe you want to windshield wiper your arm on the ground now. So you can just kind of slide your hand up and down on the ground if it feels nice. Opening up across your chest. And then we'll come back to center. One more star. Stretch your limbs out wide. Exhale, knees into your chest. Hug up. Roll to your right side. Palms together, knees together. Open big and wide to a twist. And then bring your hands back together. And the second time we'll open and we'll stay. Just feel your way into that opening across your chest. Turn your head. Breathe well. And then if it feels good, you can slide your hand on the ground a little bit. So you just sense into a little bit of movement across your pecs. And then back onto your back. One last star on the ground. Reaching your limbs out there in space. Exhale, rounding the spine, picking up your head, and then rolling to your side. Notice how just something so simple as our supine warm-up, how you've just touched a lot of places in your body. We haven't done any aggressive movements yet or anything vigorous, but it's just a sense of coming home. Are you aware of your body a little bit more now? All right, so on to all fours. Let's move a little more deeply through the spine now, feeling that rounding and the arching through the vertebrae. Taking your time. Some of us can have very sensitive vertebrae on any given day, so try not to push or force your body into movement, but just allow what's available right now. Chances are, as we move, more will become available, but maybe in the beginning, not much is available. So honor and respect where your boundaries are, and then start to move the posture around any way you want. You can wag your tail, you can wag your head, you can move your neck around, move around, rolling your shoulders, feeling how your ribs are today, feeling how your pelvis is today. Kind of touch in with a lot of that center body joints, not just your spine, but your collarbones, your shoulder blades, how they interrelate, how your ribs interrelate with all their other joints, how your pelvis interrelates. There's just so many joints in our body. And then curl your toes under and stretch back towards child's pose to open up the bottom of your feet. And maybe you can kind of weight more in your big toes and then weight more in your pinky toes. Maybe your ankles touch and then move away from each other. Letting your feet open up. And then come back onto all fours again, a cat cow. Let's find a deeper twist. Left arm lifting up into the air. Exhale, sliding that shoulder underneath and twisting to the side, letting your head relax. A big breath, kind of touch base with the back of your shoulder, your spine, your ribs. What's happening back there today? And if you want to, face the ground a little bit more. You can drop back towards child's pose. The arm is still underneath you, so we get that posterior stretch in your shoulder joint. Allow the front of your shoulder to soften. Breathing well. And then inhale, reach that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground, switching sides, arm up. Exhale, slide your arm under. Gaze toward the ground, feeling your way, having gratitude for every part of you that your mind touches. What kind of sensations are you having here? How can your breath support? What can you do to relax a bit more? And then come out of the posture a bit, drop back towards child's pose, keeping the arm underneath you, stretching your shoulder. And inhale, reach that arm all the way back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. Let's find our way to a dog pose. So as you stretch up and lengthen through your body, take an opportunity to move around in your feet. So let's get to know our feet a little bit more. Drop your heel, then drop your other heel, kind of opening up the calves. Notice the position that your feet want to take. Do you tend to lean out into the outer feet? Do you lean into the inner feet? Do you collapse your arches? Do you lift your arches? Kind of sense all the little subtleties. Same with your hands. Where does the weight want to be? See if you can spread the weight across your hands and your feet well. And once you have that sense of contact, knowing where your hands and your feet are, root them down, press a little bit, and then rise up through your whole body, feeling the heart lift, feeling the hips lift, feeling those apexes of the pose. And just breathe your way here. Enjoy your dog pose. Then walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana. And this can be a tricky pose for a lot of people. Let your knees Bend as much as you want to. There's no need to have this be a super duper strong hamstring stretch just yet. Let's just enjoy the spine opening. You can bobble your head, you can shimmy your hips or your shoulders. And then find a halfway lift. Lengthen here, stretch forward. Reach your femur bones back now. So now our legs can get straight. Open up the bottom of your feet. Spread those bones around. Lift your sit bones high. And then exhale and release to fold again. Feeling those hamstrings open a bit more. Rising all the way up. You can press up, you can stretch up, whatever feels good. Reaching the arms up, up, up. Lean back a little bit if it feels nice to do so, so you can open across the front of the spine. Let's cactus. Feeling that spreading of your heart. Reach up. Imagine you have a bar that you're pulling down, like a lat pull down bar, and just gently drop down like you're pulling some weight down, down, down. Let your elbows go past your shoulders, down toward your hips. And then inhale. Up one more time. Let's do that again. Feel the muscles along the back of your body. Wake up and strengthen a little bit. Say hi to the back of you. And then reach your arms up one more time. And a big swan dive. Forward fold. Let your spine open. A halfway lift. Extending. Exhale. Melting. You can always put a block between your thighs if you need to. Come to chair pose. Squat down, inhale, arms coming up, only if you want to. Remember, your arms can be in lots of different positions. Find your breath. Exhale, float your torso down, arms back. Inhale, through a chair all the way up to stand, all the way onto your tippy toes. And then exhale, heels down, arms back. Inhale, arms all the way up, tippy toes. One last time. Up onto your tippy toes. Once you're on your tippy toes, let's stay here for a moment. Just open up your feet. Find your balance starting to come. Soften your gaze. And then release your hands down. Okay, shake out your hands. Give them a good wide shake. Okay, and let's just wiggle or bounce. Okay. Appreciations. Okay, so look what your body's capable of doing. Let your body feel that you've touched everywhere a little bit. Stillness. Now, instead of jumping, I just want you to bounce a little bit. Open your chest. Try not to collapse your shoulders when you do this teeniest bit of core support. So we're supporting our back, our spine, and imagine. There's a lot of feedback through your whole body when you bounce like this, a lot of lymph movement. There's also a lot of compression and release through many joints in the body, particularly your vertebrae, but also through your knees, your ankles, your hip joints, through your sacrum. See if you can just sense into this little bit of bouncing and the waking up and feedback it gives to your joints, moving a lot of fluid through your joints. Breathe well. All right, and then come to stillness. And just notice that you've woken your body up, that you're here. So close your eyes and sense everywhere you can feel. Notice a sense of aliveness that maybe your cells are dancing from the bobbing around as well. That it's not just your fluids, but your cells just got to notice a little party going on. All right, inhale, reaching the arms all the way up. Maybe lean back a little bit if it feels good. You can always have, a fairly big back bend living in your body here. And then release your hands. Let's interlace them behind your back and go to where your body goes. I don't know that my body will ever go where it used to go, but here I am where I am now. Okay, maybe you can relate to that. So if you can lean forward and lift your arms off your spine, do that. If you're like me and you have to stay upright and you already feel a huge stretch, then stay here. Wherever you find a good stretch across the front of your shoulders, notice if you're compensating anywhere in your body. Full breaths. And then we're going to release the hands and everybody come to a forward fold. Join those who are already there. Inhale for a halfway lift. Melt and fold. Let's take our feet wider now. So instead of a chair, we're going to come to a squat. Elbows on top of or inside knees. Start to get some compression and some strength through compression now. So drop some weight into your feet. Feel the ground. Open up. Now this might make you dizzy. So of course, don't do the movement if it's not working for your body. But if it feels good for your body, we're going to come up to stand like we did in the chair pose and come down to a squat. We'll do a few. Okay, so inhaling, rising up, exhaling to a squat. Modify this any way your body needs to have it be modified. You can do anything you want with your arms. You don't have to lift them up over your head. Notice if one hip or knee or ankle has a little more challenge than others. What happens if you have a challenge with one? Do you tend to compensate with the other? Can you move gently, slowly, respectfully enough to give that joint a job that it can handle? Breathing well, stay down in your squat now. And then we'll bring our hands down to the ground, come back to dog pose. So stretch and lengthen. Let's take our feet wide on the mat and turn our toes in for a minute so you feel all that internal rotation of your femur bones. Come back to neutral in your dog. Inhale, come forward into a plank. Holding a sense of steadiness here, shoulders over wrists, stable body. Full breaths. Feeling that expansion through your rib cage. And then come to the ground. Knees can come down first if you need that support. Maybe a couple of shoulder rolls. And let's enjoy a back bend cobra pose. Enjoy opening up your spine in this way. Remember all the gratitudes. Come back down. Once more. Inhale, rising up to a cobra. Elbows can stay very bent. They don't have to straighten. Exhale down. What's your favorite? Let's do our favorite for this moment. You know, it doesn't have to be your favorite forever. But what do you want right now in the back bend? Find a variation that works for you. And then find your way back down. Come up onto all fours and move your spine a lot. Wag your tail. Maybe hips go sliding over one side and then to the other side. Just feel your way into any kind of movement that is a nice feeling in your body. And then stretch back towards child's pose. Take your hands overhead. Knees can be close or far. And just feel that stretching through your shoulders and your side bodies. A big breath here. Let's walk our hands over to one side or the other so that we have the sense of one side at a time opening and lengthening. Feeling that stretch across our lats, across our rotator cuff muscles, across our deltoids, our triceps, our biceps, our forearms, everything's opening up. Okay. Coming back to the other side, remember to pay attention to how your breath feels when you're one-sided like this. And then come back to center. Come up onto all fours. Grab your blocks. Let's bring our right foot in front. Come to a lunge. Back knee can stay on the ground for a moment. Feel that hip flexor open up. Finding a good deep breath. Let's bring our hands down to the inside edge of your right knee. Turn your toes out a little bit. And just feeling that compression in your hip. You might stay here with your knee on the ground. You might curl your toes under and lift your knee up off the ground. Feeling that deep flexion of your hip and deep extension of the other hip. Wide sit bones, long spine. Place your knee back down. Come back to a moment of child's. And then come up to the other side. The left foot is in front. Okay. Hands on blocks. Come into a deep hip flexor stretch here. Open heart. Let your back knee stay on the ground. Just feel those oppositional forces of deep flexion in the front, deep extension in the back. Let's go ahead and bring our left arm on the inside edge of your left foot. And you can turn your toes out a little bit, kind of change the angle of your knee and your foot. Hands can be on blocks or the ground. Your back knee can stay on the ground, or maybe you lift your back knee up off the ground. Wide sit bones, long spine. Breathe into that deep flexion in the hip joint. Okay. Bring that back, knee back, front foot back, child's pose. Enjoy the deep flexion here. Okay, bring your hands. We're gonna come into a deep squat. So by deep squat, I mean your hips are gonna go down low. So you might sit on a block. You might have a blanket underneath your heels. You might just be in space without support underneath you. You might have to be higher than one block, maybe a chair or a stool. Just see what feels good. How deep can you come into this flexion of the hip joints? Drop your pelvis, lift your chest. Breathing well. I'm going to come into a little bit of a twist here. So hopefully you have found a comfortable way to be. Adjust anything you need. Take your left arm inside edge of that left knee and reach your other arm up and find your eyes gazing up toward that right arm. Okay, come back, switch sides. Arm on the inside, reach your eyes upward toward that left hand. And come back, deep squat again. And let's find our way out by placing our knees onto the ground, all fours. Now that's a deep pose, so take your time to find your way out. Maybe wag your tail, maybe a little bit of an arching of the back, maybe just some neutralizing, however feels good to your body. We'll find our way to a dog pose when you feel ready. So if you need a little nurturing, take your time. There's no rush to get to a dog pose. Find your breath. Once you get up here, open the backs of your legs. Pedal your feet again if you'd like, but just feel that lift of the sit bones, the reach of the heels, the fullness of the back legs. And let's walk our feet forward. Come to Uttanasana. Let the bend happen at your hip joints. Let your spine cascade and waterfall. Inhale for a halfway lift. Put your blocks on high heights underneath your hands. So there's all this space. Return to a neutral lumbar curve. So a lot of times when we do a deep squat like that, we kind of lose that neutral curve. So find it here. And then exhale and relax. Rising all the way up. Coming up to stand. Maybe the arms come up. And bring them down and come back to a bounce. Okay. Now, check in. How does the bouncing feel after a deep squat? If you have pain, then maybe you need to kind of investigate what that's all about. You know, when you go into deep flexion of the lumbar spine and then return, if your body can't readjust very quickly from that, that's something to pay attention to. Okay. All right, wiggle. Just let your body kind of find any bit of freedom it wants. And then we're going to take some nice wide legs when you're ready. Turn your feet out. We're not gonna come forward like we sometimes do. We're gonna stay upright. So be high. Don't bend your knees very much yet. And I want you to just find a little bouncing right up here, like you're on a horse. Okay. You can put your arms wherever you want them to be, but just feel that you're upright, that your spine is upright with this nice wide stance. And then maybe you want to shift and go from one side to the other side. Okay, and then back to bouncing. Okay, now let's find the values of our body. Reach your arms up, kind of like the poem I read of Maggie. Maggie, you weren't here when I read your poem last week. Finding these values. Okay, so drop down, lower your hands toward the ground, a deeper squat. Inhale, let your breath fill, reaching the arms back up. You don't have to do what I'm doing with my arms. You can have this pose translate energetically in any way that you want to. We're just finding our capacity to expand upward and our capacity to ground downward. Find your breath within this movement. All right, last one we'll do. The next one, when we come down, we're going to stay down there. So as you come toward horseman's pose or goddess pose, let your arms be wherever you want. Maybe they're very vigorous and you're like, yeah, I got this. I'm big today. Or maybe you're like, oh, I have to be kind of quiet today. Or I need a little support, my hands on my knees. Do what feels right. Drop weight into four corners of feet. Keep yourself upright. Turn on a lot of muscles. See if you can spin your droidlets with your feet. Pull your toes back, heels forward just a little bit. Turn some things on in your hips. And then stand all the way up straight. Turn your right foot out. Your left foot turns straight or in a little bit. Let's find triangle pose. Reach your right arm up and extend. Maybe your hand needs a little block to rest on. Maybe you'd like to rest your hand on your leg. So this straight leg version, root your feet down. We're getting our quads just a little bit of a break from those goddess postures. Breathing well. Can you root a little more through that back foot? You have the length through your spine. Okay, reverse. Feel that rib cage opening up. And then come into Parsvakonasana. Bend your knee. Maybe your elbow comes under your knee. Maybe your hand rests on the block. Whatever feels right to your body. Just find your posture and stretch your arm overhead. Feel the deep roots of your back foot. How is your breath? Can you connect to the fullness of your being right now? Is there something to appreciate and be joyful about in this posture? And then come all the way back up. Let's turn our feet. We're going to do the same two poses to the left. So if you like a block, use a block. Triangle pose. Take a deep breath in, reach the arm up, extend to the side, bring your hand down onto the block or leg, and stretch open. Lightness on that hand, so we're not bearing all our weight down, we're feeling energized, so our whole body is supporting our torso. Allow those inner hamstrings on that left leg to open without stretching too far. Feel the support of your feet, root in. Can you lengthen the spine a little bit more? Is there space to breathe? Is your neck relaxed? Inhale and reverse that. Stretch into your side body. And then bend your knee. And maybe your elbow comes on your knee. Maybe the hand is on your block. Your block, if you're using it, can be on the inside or the outside of your knee. Stretch your arm overhead and enjoy this posture. Shoulders away from the ears, both sides. Feel your rib cage expand both sides. Can you move your tail toward the back foot? Is your front foot deeply engaged into the ground? Is there tension in your neck that you can let go of and soften a little bit somehow? Grounding. There's so much support. Give your feet over to the earth. And come all the way back up. And we'll turn back to the front of our mat for a dog pose, feeling that extension and length in our body. Kind of check in with your spine after doing all those deep, strong poses outward. What does it feel like now? Big breath in, full breath out. Let's come forward into a plank. Hold yourself nice and steady here. Find the ground. Again, choosing back bends. See what feels good. Do you need to lift your legs? Do you need to lift your arms? Do you need, what's going to make your body feel good right now? All right, and relax. Excuse me. Put your head on your hands, lift your feet up, and rock your legs left and right. Full breaths. Let's come back up onto all fours. We're going to transition back up to standing, but you do this however you want. Maybe you want to move through dog pose. Maybe you'd rather just stand up. Find your way. Our balance pose for today is going to be Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. So you can come into this from Parsvakonasana like we just did, or triangle pose. However, I'm pushed into not being able to come into the full version because of my couch. So you can have your legs wider than I have mine. Have your foot pointing straight toward the short edge of your mat. And when you come up into the pose, your hand can be on the block. Maybe your back is against a wall or your foot is against a wall. So just find your way, stabilize through your core. Feel the neutral low back. So we're not arching, we're not rounding. Keep lifting your leg high in the air and wake up those outer hip muscles. Maybe a teeny bit of pulsing of your leg in the air if your balance allows. This pose is so good for you, for us, for all of us. And step back out of there. There's a lot of stability that comes into our pelvis from this pose. And it challenges our balance. There's so many ways to challenge your balance, but what I love about Ardha Chandrasana, it's one of the few balance poses where our head is tipped sideways. A lot of times when we stand on one foot, our head is straight. And this is a very different kind of balance when our head is not in line with the horizon. So enjoy that extra challenge that this pose offers you. Let's come into the second side. Use any support that you need. Your left toes are pointing straight toward the short edge of your mat. And then when you come into the posture, if you need a little help, your block can be out to the left a little bit more to give you a broader base. Try not to let your foot turn. Lift that leg in the air. Pay attention to the neutral low back. Are your ribs popped out? Are you arching a whole lot? See if you can ribs in and feel the neutral spine. Also notice if you're kind of sinking onto your femur bone. See if you can lift off your femur bone. Lift that leg in the air, maybe a couple of pulses so you feel the intrinsic nature of support, that it's not just sinking onto that standing leg. Maybe you gaze up at your hand. Maybe you gaze forward. Maybe you gaze downward. How's your breath? Are you holding it? See if you can breathe. Big giant step out the way you came and find your way to standing. Okay, now last time we'll just have a little gentle bounce just to kind of neutralize the hips, the sacrum, the spine. Unlock your knees. This doesn't have to be a big bounce. Just have any kind of rippling through your vertebrae, your hips, your knees, so that you sense that your body is getting a rebound. This is really good for bringing some extra fluid into our disc spaces. You know, when we have a compress and a release and a compress and a release, our body gets the message like, oh, bring fluid there. Okay. And then find stillness. Standing with good balance on 2 feet. Let's enjoy and have gratitude for our body. Full breath here. Reaching the arms up. Exhale and float forward. Keep checking in with your spine. A halfway lift. Melting again. Let's come to our last dog pose. Feel that length, stretch. Put your legs where you want them, maybe wider, maybe narrower. And then let's come down onto our knees, child's pose. Feel the symmetry across your sacrum. Breathe down to your sacrum. And then we're going to turn over onto our back. Before we go anywhere, let's just allow the ground to give us support. Bend your knees, feet on the ground. Let your spine melt. So now just the opposite of the bouncing, now we find just a pooling, a sense of stillness. Turn back to that bilateral nostril, like feel the fullness of your breath, that we have 2 sides of our nose open to receive. We're going to take the block and on its lowest height, lift your hips up and stick the block under there. Now, this may not feel good. Some people, this is like, yay, I'm so happy we're doing this. For others, oh, I wish we weren't doing this. Kind of assess, if you don't like it, why. And if it's just literally what your body doesn't need or want right now, then listen to that voice and do something different. But if it's just because you don't like the pose, or it's, gives you more challenge in some way, then explore it. But if your body has a resistance for a good reason, learn the difference between what to follow and what to ignore. Sometimes our will has to override sensations in the body just because maybe we're feeling a little lazy or we don't like that movement or whatever. And that's a good place to override. But if your body's giving you a message, you shouldn't override it. So part of the fine tuning of our practice is recognizing the difference between these two. And only you can do that. There's no one who can tell you that. It just comes with practice. Let's draw our knees toward our chest for a moment. Put the block under there. And then we'll lift our legs straight on up. And you can do this without the block too. If you don't like the block, you can just lift your legs straight up and just feel the waterfall. See if you can sense the drainage of all your extra fluids in your lymph and in your blood vessels. Everything is, the gravity no longer has a hold here. So or I should say does have a hold. Gravity's helping. See if you can let gravity just help you drain everything back down toward the center body. Feel the weight of your bones, your femur bones in particular, coming down into the pelvis to give some grounding into the pelvis. How's your breath? Let's go ahead and release our feet down to the ground. Get the block out of there. Feet on the ground. One more time. Melt, cool your spine. Full deep breath. Let's windshield wiper our knees left and right in preparation for a deeper twist. When you're ready, hips over to the right, knees drop, come up and then drop the knees left. Open up across your chest, across your hips. Maybe we bring our top leg straight. Maybe we keep it bent. Fill your breath and empty your breath. Let your head stay nice and heavy. And then lift your legs back to neutral. Neutralize your spine. Let it be there for a breath. Pull your spine into the ground. And then let's shift the hips over to the left. Knees come up and drop your knees right. Twisting open. Enjoy your body. Sometimes the enjoyment of our practice comes during our practice. Sometimes the appreciation and joy of our practice comes after our practice. Sometimes our appreciation for our practice comes before our practice, like, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to doing yoga. So just notice all the ways that our yoga practice kind of offers us. And then come back to neutral and decide what it is that you need. Maybe you still need a little hip stretching, so a little reverse pigeon pose might feel really nice. Maybe your body's like, no, I'm ready for Shavasana, and you want to just start lying down. So whatever your body needs, there might be something totally different that you need right now. So take a moment to complete your practice. And you can ignore me always. If you want to just keep going and do more, then you can do Shavasana in a little while and just keep going. So remember, this practice eternally and forever and always is for you. All right, so as you prepare for Shavasana, whenever that time arises, let's take a moment to let our bones melt, to feel that we can cool into the ground and feel that deep level of support that the ground can give us. And when you do, let your muscles relax and kind of fall away from the bones. Kind of scan, is there anything that's needed right now? Do you need protection from light? Are you cold? Do you need warmth? Do you need support? Again, let's appreciate both nostrils. Okay, so as you breathe in well, enjoy the expansion that your breath offers. Enjoy the oxygen. And as you exhale, enjoy the letting go. your way into any movement that is supportive. Finding that transition onto your side. Actually bringing yourself upright. As you bring your hands toward you and you come to a good posture, again, breathe deeply and enjoy your breath. And just notice the subtle shifts in your mind, in your body. Let's have some gratitude again for our practice and how it supports our well being in all the ways that it does. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.